This is the story of a Afro Latina learning to embrace who she is. So from the time that I was a child, I learned pretty quickly that I was different. I did not know what made me different, but I knew that I was different. Because although I was different, there were some people that looked like me, and there were some people that spoke like me. They looked different, and the people that actually looked similar to me, but in a lighter complexion, they also treated me differently. So there was a lot of confusion, and I understood that it had to do with the color of my skin. So I learned not to like the color of my skin. And as a child, I even tried to change the color of my skin. Over time, I learned that because of the color of my skin, boys didn't like me, some people did not want to hang out with me, and I thought I was pretty ugly. And no matter what I did, I tried to excel. I tried to be the best that I could be in everything that I did. I danced well. I studied. I was one of the top students at school. So I really tried to do everything well, believing that if I couldn't change how I look, I could at least prove my worth through my mind. In school, I was too tall. I was mocked in class, pushed around. However, my height, I try to use it to protect me. So instead of running away, I faced my fears. But the teachers, most of them did not help the situation. Because I was taller than most, they sat me down in the back of the class so that others could see. However, because I pushed to have good grade, I learned to speak up. And I said, I have good grades. I cannot pay attention in the back. I need to sit in the front. So the teacher understood that I was the best student in the class. So the teacher accommodated, and they put me in the front of the class of the very far right or the very far left. But I got to sit in the front. When that happened, that was my first understanding of speaking up. Even though at that point, I still did not get a clear idea of what I just have done. When I came to America, the rules changed a little bit, but the game stayed the same. Now, I was too dark when I was in high school, and then I had an accent which was very strong, and I didn't even speak English. I only spoke Spanish. So when I was around the Latinos, they didn't know I was Latina. And when I was around the blacks, they did not know I was black. But by looking at me, they did not know. And the others, by looking at me, they did not know. But when I opened my mouth, when they noticed something different. But I was not accepted by either one of the groups at first, especially when I opened my mouth. Everybody heard something different. I overcame that over the years. Then after that, I became a model. And the reason why I became a model, because after all of those years, people saying I was ugly, I actually tried it. And, I was like, I'm going to prove to the world that I'm beautiful. And, while I was modeling and doing runways and doing all these shows, the shocking thing is that no one ever told me I was beautiful. They always said I was exotic. And when I understood what the word exotic meant, I actually concluded that it was like an animal zoo. That made me feel strange again. Not someone to be admired, and I was not hearing the word beautiful. So eventually I left that world and I stepped into the corporate world. In the corporate world, I decided I was going to do my best. I was going to think, I was going to use my brain, and I was going to show what I have. But even then, the comments never stopped. My hair, my accent, my presence, everything was under the microscope. Well, then came moments and I dealt with it. No big deal. I ended up having my baby. I then made the decision, no more masks. I did not wear any more makeup. I decided to be natural as much as I could. I was trying to embrace me instead of wearing all this makeup to cover my skin and to make my skin lighter. I decided no more makeup. So I stopped wearing makeup unapologetically. I started voicing my opinion, and some people was uncomfortable with it. But the more they were uncomfortable, the stronger I become. But even in my strength, I still was weak. I stopped asking for permission. And that started to feel very good. And something incredible happened. My confidence grew. Not because the world finally accepted me, but because I started to accept myself. If and when I had children, I started to think, what am I going to do with them? How am I going to teach them to speak up for themselves, to believe in themselves, to love themselves, and to be unshakable in their position? So that's what I focus on. But that wasn't easy. I got tested once again. I went on a job interview for a database. At that time, I was a database administrator. So I went, I talked to the receptionist. I told her what position I had came to apply for. And I filled out the application. I had my appointment that day. And then, I waited. She said the hiring manager will be with you soon. I waited for around 2 hours. The hiring manager was no show. When I stand up to ask her, am I going to still have the interview today? She said, well, the receptionist job, we decided not to fulfill it. And I was like, I'm not here for the receptionist job. I'm here for the database administrator job. Well, it seems like the manager was trying to ghost me because of the color of my skin. Well, he looked at me and he said, okay, come in. He sat me down on the computer. He decided, okay, show me what you can do. Just like that, just with an attitude. Everything that he said was an attitude. I could see the doubt in his face, in his voice, in his attitude. He was doubting me. He kind of acted like if he did not know what was happening on the computer, and said, okay, this is what happened. And he tried to act like if he did not know, to really test my knowledge. I showed him what I can do. I found the lost file. I showed him in the database. I explained some things and some of the problems that I saw and what it will take for me to fix these problems. Well, he said after the interview, we will call you back if you are the person chosen, blah, 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 blah. After that, I never got a call again. I continued to look for work while I was doing some freelance work. 2 months later, they called back. Of course, they were desperate. I was not sure exactly why they were desperate for, but I went ahead and I took the job. I excelled in the job, and then I learned the truth. I learned from one of my coworkers that the reason why they have hired me is because the person they have hired before, which was a male and a lighter complected male than I was, he got the job and he destroyed their database. Their files was a mess, so they hired me to be able to fix the mess without telling me that this had happened. Well, they decided, they didn't have anything to lose. They hired me. And after I learned that, I did not leave the job while I was still working on the challenging project. I decided I am going to give it my best, and I'm going to show them the value of this dark complected woman. I am going to show them my knowledge. I am going to prove that they judge me wrongly. I finished my work. I was nice to everybody. I gave my 2 weeks notice. And let me tell you, I gave my 2 weeks notice, which was an emotional thing because I didn't even have another job. But I just felt disrespected that I was not hired and they just took me as the last resort because they didn't trust that I could do the work from the beginning. So I gave my 2 weeks notice. In that I gave my 2 weeks notice, then the person said, let me put it this way. They pursue me to keep the job. They pursue me to stay at the job. And I was just like, no, I am not interested in this job. He asked me, why is it that I wasn't interested in the job anymore? I said, I learned. Why is it that you hired me? I learned that you did not trust me because of the complexion of my skin. And although I cannot prove it, you and I and everybody else know that this is the reason. And I cannot stay in a place that never wanted me in the first place. And he apologized and he said, I judged you wrongly. And that was okay. I said, thank you. Just give the next person an opportunity. But it's my time to go. So instead, I had gave my 2 weeks notice. But I said, it's possible. I already finished all my work. I just wanted to give you my 2 weeks notice. And then I decided to leave. So I did not end up staying the 2 weeks because we talked about it. And I said it would be safe for both of us not to have me stay the 2 weeks. So I left. Years later, I pursued a dream job as a motivational speaker. Over the phone, I spoke with the person that was in charge. The hiring manager, it seemed like he was like the director of this TV station. He invited me. After a few talks, we talked like 2 or 3 times over the phone, but we talk in Spanish. We laughed so much. We had such a blast on the phone. We laughed about all kind of things. We even talked about Panama, about my country. And he even mentioned that he visited Panama. But I did not know that he did not know who I really was. So practically, I went the next day to the office. And when I walked in the office, I was looking good, professional. I was just so happy. I was excited that I was going to see him. And he said that when he see me, he was going to give me a big hug. And I was going to give him a big hug. And we was going to be happy. I walk into the office. Everybody was shocked. I heard whispers and confusion. Then I saw a man staring at me at a distance. And while he stared at me for a couple minutes, but I wasn't sure who this man was. Then he disappeared. Then after sitting me in an office while I waited, one of the assistants or one of the receptionists, I don't know what she was, she came to tell me the position was no longer available. I knew exactly what was happening. Again, the complexion thing. But I decided, you know what? Don't say that. Just ask the question if you see him. Okay, I was getting ready to leave. As I turned to leave, I saw him. And I said, "Excuse me," and I called him by his name. He seemed apprehensive, not to want to really face me. But this was the same man that I laughed with on the phone. This was the same man that said that he was going to hug me when he see me. This was the same man that was excited about seeing me. So I just had to ask the question. So I called him in Spanish. And as I talked to him, I noticed that he was very uncomfortable with me. And then I said to him, "Can I ask what happened?" Because you are, and I confirmed that this was the person I was talking to over the phone. After I confirmed that, he said to me, "You never said that you were black." I said, I looked at him for a little bit with shock. I smiled. And then I said, "You never ask." I was a Latina at that moment. I did not know that simply using the word Latina caused confusion, because all my life, since I came to the United States, that was the term that was used for somebody like me that came from Latino America. I say Latina. I learned that I was to say in the future Afro Latina for people like him. However, that did not come easy. I sat in my car. I cried. I cried. I cried. I felt a little bit of shame. I felt anger. Tears just keep running down my eyes, and I did not want to get home to my son and my daughter with this pain inside of me. I did not understand what I was going to do after this. I did not understand how to solve this problem. I, at that moment, was feeling weak because I was so excited before. My energy, my everything was high. And at that moment, I was like, not again. Not again. And then, after that, I prayed and I said to God, give me the strength to overcome these challenges. Then I sat down and I decided, you know what? No one will ever take my power again. Because at that moment, I felt powerless. I felt so powerless because of my dark complexion. But I decided my son is as dark as me, even though my daughter is a little lighter than me. I need to fight for both of them. I need to teach them how to fight. Well, I went home. I got stronger. I started coming up with some strategies and decided to get back out there because I was a single mom. So I decided to get back out there. At my next interview, I walk into a room and I had this unshakable confidence. That's what I told myself. I don't care how they look at me. I don't care what they say. I am going to be ready to respond respectfully, but I'm going to be ready to respond. Well, I sat there. I was going to apply for a computer consultant position. That's what I was going in there. So when I was sitting there, filling out the paperwork, all of that, I overheard two of the executives, I wasn't sure who they were talking about they needed to pay for this training, and they were trying to make this decision of how many employees they need to send to this training next month and all of that. So they have this conversation. So I'm eavesdropping on the conversation. And then once the gentleman took me in the meeting, he asked me, okay, tell me about yourself. And I tell him a little bit of myself, that I love computer work, I love to talk. That's what I said, and you guys should know already that I do love to talk. And then he said to me, do you have any questions for me? And I said, yes, I definitely have a question. I said, I overheard that you were talking about software training, and the company that you were going to send them to, they canceled. Can I ask what software are you talking about? And he said to me what the software was. And then I said, well, let me propose something. And he was like, okay, like in a shock way. And my stomach at this point is hurting. I have butterflies in my stomach. I'm trying to control my hands because they are shaking. My leg is shaking. I am nervous. I'm starting to get a headache because of what I was going to propose. I said to him, okay, the software that you just mentioned, I am pretty good at database. I'm pretty good at anything to do with computers. I don't know that software, but if you give me 2 weeks, I will learn the software and I can come and teach all your employees for one price. And he looked at me. He thought about it a little bit. You can see in his eyes, he was actually thinking about it. He actually thought I was crazy. And then he said, okay, let's do this. If you think you can do this within 2 weeks, let's go ahead. I will give you 2 weeks. Do you need me to get you the books? I said, no, I can get them at the library. If I don't get them at the library, I will find the books. Because even if I cannot teach you, I will learn it. So he said, okay. If you master the books and come and train us, then we will talk about a contract. So I went home and I studied and I studied and I studied like crazy. Like I actually studied a lot, okay? Once I decided that I was going to study this thing, it was so much. It was just ridiculous. I mean, it was like I was 5 days into my study, and while I'm studying, I'm practicing on the computer, and I play around with my son, teaching him what the things that I was learning to see if he understand the way that I was explaining it. And then I get to this point where I was learning some SQL. I don't know if you know anything about databases or anything about computers, but I was learning SQL, and oh my goodness, it was like so difficult. And I was like, oh my God, I have to learn this. And I knew, like JavaScript, and I knew some scripting, a little bit of C, but I was focusing more on trying to do the SQL to be able to get those queries and explain to them all of these things. The couple days before my presentation, my training, I started doubting myself. Why are you doing this? Why are you doing this to yourself? You cannot train them. You will not be able to succeed in this. Why do you put yourself into these things then? I started just destroying myself, sabotaging my mind, sabotaging everything. And then I look at my kids, and then I look at myself in the mirror, and I remember that I was dark. And I said, dark girl, you gotta do this. You got to prove yourself to yourself and embrace yourself by yourself. That's what I did. And when I did that, something triggered in my brain. I said, God, please give me the strength to overcome this, to learn this, and to go teach it better than any trainer. So I focused. I did cry because I am a crybaby. I mean, I sound like I'm very strong, but I am a crybaby. When I need to cry, I cry. So I cried. And then the morning of the training, I got ready and got right in front of them, nervous. I was freaking out. And as soon as I got into that room, there were 3 people in that room. I was just expecting one person, but there was 3 people in that room. And I am more nervous now. They have a whiteboard. They set it up like a classroom. And I have to stand in the front of them and teach. Oh, I was so nervous. I dropped the pointer while I was nervous, but I faced my fear and I kept going. Then I taught them. I explained to them about the training. I said, if anybody have questions, some people have questions, they ask for clarifications, blah, blah, blah. It was crazy. Then at the end, when I finished, it took around an hour and a half to be able to teach them. And then when I finished the class, they clapped for me. I was not expecting the clap, but they did clap without saying too much. 2 of the people that was there, they left, and the person that had told me, which is the hiring manager that had told me that he was going to give me this opportunity, he told me, okay, sit down, let's talk. So as we talk, he said, great job. I actually did not think that you were going to be successful. But the reason why I gave you this opportunity is because no one had spoken to me with the confidence that you have spoken with. That's the reason why I gave you that opportunity. Because I did not know who you were. You did not know who I was. So that's the reason why I gave you the opportunity. And I was hoping that you will succeed. And I believe that you will succeed. He handed me a manila envelope and he said, open it. When I opened the envelope that he handed me, that was my first payment. It was 20% of what they were planning to spend on training. And this is one of these big companies that they were going to send this money to. And they gave me 20% of that. That's what he said. It was 20% of it. And I thought that was a lot of money. And he saw in my eyes that I was just totally shocked that I was getting this much money. And I did not start training yet. And he said, oh, this is just for today's training. I'm like, what? I was like so shocked. Oh, what did that do for my confidence? It was unbelievable. It was ridiculous. I was on high. I felt like I was flying in the clouds. It was amazing. Well, the lesson here. You will face obstacles. People will try to define you, box you. They will try to make you feel lower than low, and they will try to shut you out. And no matter how much skills you have, they will try to let you feel that you are dumb, stupid, and that you are not talented. But here's the truth. You don't need their permission to be great. Your race, your accent, your height, your gender, none of it is a flaw. It is your power. So whatever you do, Latino, Hispano, Indígena, American Indian, wherever you come from, whatever you call yourself, please stand tall. Speak louder than loud. Walk into a room and lift your head up. Walk into a room like you own that room, because you do. It's you are the one that have to decide who you want to be, what you want to be, when you want to be that. And if you do believe in God, like I believe, you get that strength from Him, and that is all that you need. The world will always try to break you. Don't let them. They tried to break me many, many times, and I always got up. And they tried to break me again and again and again, and I got up again, and again. I embrace who I am. You need to embrace who you are. Trust what you are and what you are capable of, and never, by any means, by any circumstance, ever let anyone make you feel like a beggar. Don't let anyone tell you where you should sit. Don't let anyone invite you to the table if you don't want to be at that table. Don't let anyone define you. You decide who you are and what you are going to be. Today, they call me an Afro Latina. Some are shocked when I say that I'm a Latina. I also call myself black. No matter what these labels are, none of those labels define me. None of them. What define me is that I am Sandra Graves. And like I tell everybody else, some people want to say Sandra Graves. It's not Sandra Graves. The Graves is when you die and you are in the grave. I do not die. In the Graves, in Spanish, Graves mean when you are in a grave situation. Graves, like you are in the emergency room and you are in coma or something like that. They said, esta persona está en una situación grave. I pick between those two when I was younger, because people also used to bother me in Panama. Graves, graves, graves. And especially when I did not do good in school, they told me that I was graves. So I said, okay, I am graves. And when I came to America, they tried to call me Graves, like Peter Graves, the one from Mission Impossible. I said, no, I am Graves. And I have decided that I was going to be Graves because I have fought for that last name for such a long time. Nobody was going to try to change that again. And I define that the one in English is the one that means it is over for you. It is done. You were dead. You were under the ground. That's Graves. The Graves mean always fighting. No matter what comes at me, I will always be fighting, because even if anybody try to put me in a coma, be ready, because I'm coming back. And that is what Sandra Graves mean. I am proud to be black. I am happy that I speak Spanish. I am happy that I'm dark like this. I finally embraced it. I am happy for my hair. No relax, no nothing like that. I am happy that I have a loud voice. I am happy that I am a protector wherever I go. I speak up for other people, not only for myself, because all these years, my confidence have allowed me to be a voice to people that don't have a voice, like when I didn't have a voice. So, Your pain that you have, the pain that they put in you, forgive them. Let it go. Free yourself and be happy. Because all of those people that did those things to me, they were just ignorant. Believe it or not, my husband is white. And he had to work real hard to be able to be with me. But my husband is white. And the difference is why I'm with him. Not because I hate myself. I am with him because I have learned to love myself all of these years. And that's the reason why he had to learn to treat me well from the get-go. I did not allow anybody to disrespect me. From the beginning, he knew where I stand. And although I am a Christian and he's a Muslim, we have been married for 18 years, going on the 19. And that man have respected me from the beginning. And although this is not a dating advice message, I am trying to help you to understand. He saw the confidence that I had in me. He heard my voice from the very beginning, and my voice did not scare him like most men get scared. I am the type of woman that only can be around strong men. So if you are a woman with a voice like mine, and there are men out there that believe that because you have a big voice, that you are not the type that they want, they are doing you a favor, because the right one is going to come for you. My husband is amazing, and he will fight anybody for me, and I will fight anybody for him, because we respect each other, and he believes in me like I believe in him. Don't be with anybody, and don't be around anyone that doesn't believe in you. Get rid of them quickly. And if anyone wants to put you down, put them in their place and then walk away from them. And you should not be where they don't want you. But before you walk away from any place, don't run away from it. Stand firm, show them what you got, and when you have done a great job, walk away with your head up high. But don't allow anybody to put you down. This is Sandra Graves. They call me La Motivadora. And if you have any questions, please send me an email to info@mysandragraves.com, info@mysandragraves.com. Also, if you like what you heard, please give it a like. And I'm not trying to ask for your approval. I'm just saying, for this video, if you like it so that other people can enjoy it, great. If you don't like it, that's great too. But this is my story, and I'm not asking for your approval. Comment, share your story with me if you have one. Just place a comment if you can. And like I said, if you like it, please share it with others. May God bless you, and may you walk with your head up, regardless of who you are.